You're welcome to Twilight on CRTV News. I am Moki Edwin Kinzaka in Yaoundé. Efforts for school to effectively reopen in the northwest and southwest region after about 4 wasted years are on. We shall meet Ngida Lawrence Diop Fonkambe live in his office in that part of the country. We shall also have Taj Jervis in Boya, and here in the studio, Feka Pashibel and Akwese Bendang Milen, who are back to school campaigners. We'll begin the program with the news, and it's with you, Joyce Tata. Good evening, Joyce.
Good evening, Moki.
The new cocoa season has been launched in the country.
That's right. The Minister of Trade, Luke Magra Baga Atangana, earlier today launched the new cocoa season in Cameroon. Last year's production stood at about 250,000 tons, relatively lower than that recorded in the past 6 years. The target this 2020-2021 season is to exceed that record. Information revealed today in the ceremony presided over by the Minister of Trade. Clarice Aretakang reports.
And better post-harvest and commercialization techniques, all in a bid to guarantee decent pay for growers. These are the objectives the 2020-2021 cocoa season will be striving to attain. Focus for all those with an essential role to play in keeping the sector profitable will be on resilience.
Last season, the average price was about 1,000 francs per kilo. We are gathering the efforts of industry, of the government, to be able to maintain that level of price.
The cocoa ambition of the state is to get to 600,000 tons produced locally. Partnerships have been encouraged in order to make this possible, as producers hope to see their concerns addressed.
The government should support them in the aspect of inputs. Second, in the aspect of quality seedlings. Thirdly, with quality ovens. And then the Central to the Excellence that gives quality cocoa should be spread all over the territory.
Cocoa remains one of Cameroon's prized cash crops with huge export gain. Keeping the industry sustainable, therefore calls for renewed multidimensional investment in order to feed a market whose yearly global growth is estimated at 300,000 tons.
In education, a few weeks to the start of the 2020-2021 school year, registration of new and old pupils and students is ongoing in most schools in the nation's capital, as well as authorities making sure that the students meet clean campuses void of the COVID-19 danger, as you tell us, Romeo.
The flag is hoisted. A calm and serene atmosphere prevails at Christian Comprehensive Secondary School in Kolbong Etudi. The staff is present and busy with admission procedures.
For students to be admitted, they need to come along with a photostat copy of the birth certificate, a photocopy of the report card of the former class, photocopy of common entrance results, and the field forms in school. As a special measure with management of the school, we gave a special rebate to all students, reducing the fee upfront by 50,000 francs so that it can facilitate parents to pay the fee of their children.
Over 1,000 students are expected on campus come resumption day. In prelude, the school compound and classrooms are kept clean. The primary section is also getting set.
I have held a meeting with my staffs. There's a program that we have, a tentative one. There are some teachers that will assist me on duty on registration. We are receiving parents for the next academic year, and those parents that we're receiving are mostly the new parents.
Sweeping the school premises and the verification of book lists by some students and parents characterize the ambience at Government High School Eau Claire. Generally, preparations for the next academic year are unfolding hitch-free in institutions across Yaoundé in strict compliance to anti-COVID-19 measures.
Developing a master protocol to guide countries on clinical trials for COVID-19 is the focus of a regional expert committee meeting currently holding in Yaoundé, a joint effort to enhance research and development on traditional medicine for COVID-19 in Africa, organized by the World Health Organization and the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention. We'll be back with more information on that story in our subsequent newscast.
The Bamenda Regional Hospital is in dire need of blood in its blood banks.
Very correct. Officials at the Bamenda Hospital say the blood bank at the hospital is witnessing an acute shortage of blood, exposing patients in need to complications that can lead to several deaths. Mabel Menkendi, or rather Kilo Valerie Sala, has the details of that story.
The Bamenda Regional Hospital hosts the main anti-COVID-19 treatment center in the northwest. This has partly dragged the health institution into a reputation damage campaign by its detractors who perceive the institution as inflating COVID-19 cases and forcibly enrolling patients with other ailments into the list of COVID-19 victims. Claims vigorously dismissed by hospital authorities as medically unfounded.
People should not be afraid of coming to the hospital to make their blood donation because we don't inject. Coronavirus is not injectable. And we don't tag people for coronaviruses because there is no need to fake information.
But what the hospital perceives as coronavirus misinformation, coupled to the tense political climate in the northwest, have contributed to what the health institution describes as a deep crisis rocking its blood transfusion center.
Before the crisis, we were transfusing over 4,000 units of blood per year. But as of now, we are already in the last quarter of this year. We have not been able to transfuse up to 2,000 units.
In a broader context, before the socio-political crisis, blood transfusion at the Bamenda Regional Hospital was at over 4,000 units of blood per year. Now, in the last quarter of this year, 2020, the structure is not able to transfuse up to 2,000 units of blood, as some patients in need of blood are at high risk of dying.
Kilo Valerie Sala reporting there that people should not be scared of donating blood at the regional hospital. And Joyce, let's now move over with this report on many more companies in Douala in the fight against COVID-19.
As Moki, the charity arm of an international insurance company in Cameroon, has disbursed a sum of more than 41 million CFA francs to assist the government in the fight against COVID-19. Rosalind Fossa has the details of that story from our Littoral Regional Bureau.
It is no doubt and evidence that the respect of barrier measures against the coronavirus has been neglected by the population at a time when the country is still struggling to get rid of the pandemic. Conscious of this situation, one of the international insurance companies in Cameroon has decided to help up the pandemic by protecting the local population. The insurance body is focusing on sensitizing the less privileged on the best practices. As part of this initiative, 35 hand-washing stations are expected to be established in strategic positions and health education provided in community health centers across the country. For a more effective campaign, 2 communities have been chosen to host local production sites for hand sanitizers and face masks. The project, to last 4 months, has been evaluated to 41,700,000 CFA francs. And the non-governmental organization Value Health Africa, also interested in this fight, will be ensuring that every community has a sensitization team.
Our objective was to reach at least 2 million Cameroonians with this project. So we had a number of NGOs that submitted. They gave us out their programs and how they can help us achieve this objective.
The international insurance company believes that if the local population masters all the do's and don'ts of the COVID-19, Cameroon will be in less than no time free from this pandemic.
In sports, 22-year-old Swiss rider Marc Hirschi is winner of the 12th stage of the Tour de France cycling competition. In football, the Confederation of African Football has announced the body's presidential election will take place on March 12, 2021. Clarice tells us more in the following roundup.
Awaited African Nations Championship will take place from January 16 to February 7, 2021 in Cameroon. The announcement was made this September 10 after an executive committee meeting. For this 6th session, 16 nations will be participating, with host Cameroon in Group A alongside Mali, Burkina Faso and Zimbabwe. Cameroon have never gone past the quarter-final phase and are hoping to find their mojo this time around. CAF has also announced that the body's presidential election, initially scheduled for February 2021, will finally take place on March 12 of the same year. Incumbent Ahmad of Madagascar is yet to announce if he will be filing in his candidacy for another term of office. Cycling 22-year-old Marc Hirschi has emerged winner of the 12th lap of the Tour de France cycling tournament. He braved the 218-kilometer trek from Chauvigny to Saran, breaking away on the Souk-Omé climb and leaving a comfortable 47 seconds between him and his adversaries. Francis Pierre Roland finished second, with Soren Kragh Andersen of Denmark following in the third place. Slovenian Primož Roglič retains the yellow jersey as the overall leader.
At 6 p.m. newscasts at 10 minutes, newscast wraps up here. Twilight continues with you, Moki Edwin Kinzinka.
Thanks, Joyce Tata. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll go to Bamenda to find out what is happening with the blood bank of the regional hospital.
Merci de nous faire confiance comme ceci tous les dimanches. Lorsqu'il est 18h, on a 1h30 à passer ensemble à décrypter toute l'actualité sportive de la semaine.
Aujourd'hui, on a simplement revu l'organigramme et que là, le ministère des Sports ou encore le gouvernement de la République a pris les choses en main.
Vous allez voir que le CHAN est assez symptomatique de la réalité des clubs africains. Quand vous voyez le RD Congo qui a 2 CHAN, le parallèle tout de suite avec la toute-puissance de Mazembe.
Eh bien, mardi, d'abord, une surprise. Une petite surprise, on va le dire, c'était au Santiago Bernabéu. Mardi donc, le Real Madrid affrontait le FC Bruges. Pascal Siakam, lui, a contribué à la victoire des Toronto Raptors face au Detroit. 13 points derrière le Paris Saint-Germain. Merlin.
Merci beaucoup.
Pas du tout, soyons sérieux, c'était une grosse boucle. Heureusement
voilà
qu'ils se sont rattrapés. Tara 237, le code du Cameroun.
Les batailles d'individus, ça ne nous mène nulle part. Et il faut donc justement qu'on apprenne à dialoguer et qu'on apprenne à collaborer.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.
An acute shortage of blood has been reported at the Bamenda Regional Hospital. From 4,000 pints of blood donated every year, barely 2,000 have been donated this year. We'll go to Bamenda now to meet our reporter, Mabel Mckenzie-Sakem, who has been following up that development from the Northwest Regional Station. Mabel, good evening.
Good evening, Moki.
Now, what is the situation at the level of the blood bank of the Bamenda Regional Hospital, Mabel?
The situation is still very critical. As of yesterday, about 70 units of blood were requested to treat the patients in need at the regional hospital, but only about 35 units were available at the blood bank. And as yesterday, today they have had 3 volunteers who have actually donated to add to the number of units available at the bank.
Now, Mabel, what is the cause of that?
That's the Anglophone crisis that has been going on in the region, as well as the COVID-19 that is carrying many donors from coming to the hospital, as of what they are saying.
Maybe I'm sure the patients should be very frustrated, and some may be dying. Have you got any facts, any figures to be able to share with us on how many people are now suffering or in need of blood, how many have died, and what the officials are doing to solve the problem?
So far, the hospital officials are doing everything to keep the patients who are in dire need of blood alive. And yesterday, we met a dialysis patient who was really crying and hoping that people will come and take blood so that they could stay alive. The situation is really critical. For now, the health officials are struggling by all means to keep them alive.
Maybe I know that when somebody is not well, they call on family members to come and help. What about the family members of those who are already suffering? They're not coming to the hospital to help donate blood?
Well, as you know, many people really shy away from coming to donate blood. And then some of the family members also have some health complications that will not allow them donate because, as you know, not everybody is fit medically to donate blood. if at all a family member is not feeling fine. So the hospital officials are just requesting on the population in the Northwest region at large to come as many as possible and donate their blood so that the blood can be available at the bank anytime a patient needs it.
I also know that their blood donors group, there are groups that donate blood to patients and so on. Has the hospital been able to work with some of these groups?
Yes, they have created a WhatsApp group actually to connect to volunteers who come and donate blood. So from time to time they remind them when they are urgently. But also explain that people are not supposed to be donating blood just anytime someone is in need. So for men it's about every 3 months, and for women about 4 months. So you cannot keep calling the same persons to come and donate blood. So they are really calling on the population to come. Those who are fish, they come and then they do their test and they get their blood and save in the bank so that they can be able to save lives. And the hospital is equally promising those who are coming to donate blood that they will have a 50% discount on all their lab tests, free consultation anytime they fall sick.
Okay, I didn't get you quite well there. You mean that somebody who donates blood now will have a 50% discount should he or she fall sick?
Yes.
Discount in terms of hospital consultation, in terms of the drugs that are prescribed?
Yes, aside the other benefits, like when you really come for the test, normally they take your blood and then they check for any complications. You will receive those results for free. And then if you fall sick, you could come and you will have 50% discount on all your lab tests and your consultation will be free. So those are just some of the benefits blood donors at the regional hospital enjoy. And
we also know that there are some motivations giving people who donate blood, like maybe some financial gratifications. Is that being done out there?
Not really. For now, they're just promising a 50% discount, which is already a good thing, and then a free consultation. Aside that, when you finish, you will have food and drinks that you enjoy too, as a donor.
Well, if you had an appeal to make on behalf of those people you've seen, I mean the patients who are suffering, what would you be saying, Mabel?
We'll be calling on the population to rush to the blood bank of the Bamenda Regional Hospital, get tested and donate their blood so that it can be saved in the hospital's blood bank. You know, they have a capacity to save over 700 units of blood per session. But if you go there now, it's not up to 50 units available.
That's a terrible and a pathetic situation out there, especially for the patients at the Bamenda Regional Hospital, those who are suffering as a result of the crisis, those who have some terminal diseases that they need blood at any moment. It is terrible there from what Mabel Menkem Disakem has just told us. Mabel, thanks very much for being there.
Thank you, sir.
Now, we're taking yet another break after listening there to Mabel, and when we come back, we shall move to Nkambe, Central Subdivision of the Northwest Region, to meet the Senior Division Officer Ngida Lawrence Che, who has been leading a back-to-school campaign. Let's have a break.
Nous faisons peau neuve dans cette édition de In Vitro. Le soin corporel et particulièrement celui du dos est au menu de cette édition.
Ici, comme vous l'avez dit en introduction, nous sommes dans la salle de contrôle des préservatifs. Nous faisons un contrôle de la conformité de la qualité des préservatifs masculins et féminins.
Nous allons appliquer du miel qui est très riche en nutriments.
Comment est-ce que se porte ce métier à présent, ce métier de bijoutier ici au Cameroun?
Actuellement, ce que je peux vous dire, la bijouterie, ça ne marche plus.
Ce travail consiste à traiter toutes les dégradations, que ce soit les nids de poules, que ce soit les fissurations ou les affaissements.
Le principe est simple, il faut que je mouille d'abord les 2 cylindres. Quand je finis de mouiller les 2 cylindres, c'est pour que quand je passe, on ait une route déjà ouverte à la circulation après mon passage.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.
Merci de nous retrouver pour cette édition de ressources.
Nous avons fait des formations sur les thèmes.
L'ambition du ministère de l'Habitat est de démarrer. C'est le moment de prendre le round-up économique de la semaine. Vous venez avec les dernières informations sur l'économie au Cameroun et un peu au-delà. Toutes les régions ont abrité des comices agro-pastoraux.
Il y aura une voie d'emprise de 29 mètres et des équipements connexes.
Le ministre de l'Eau et de l'Énergie, Gaston Elundou Essumba, a lancé le le 25 novembre dernier. Un programme de suivi, de contrôle.
Tous les spécimens partout dans le monde et on cherche à faire des cross-breed.
Le monde agro-pastoral se déploie ainsi dans un contexte de crise sociopolitique avec un risque d'insécurité alimentaire.
Et pour sortir, on va prendre la direction du Kenya pour parler de ce petit détour.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.
There have been efforts for schools to reopen in the northwest and the southwest regions after 4 wasted years, 4 years in which students and pupils stayed at home. And now the national and international community is saying enough is enough. We are now heading to Nkambe, that is the Ndonga Mantun division of the northwest region, the Nkambe Central subdivision, to meet Gida Lawrence, who is divisional officer from Nkambe. And Mr. Ngida, thanks very much for being with us. Maybe the first question I have for you immediately is how your subdivision is preparing for schools to reopen if the reopening is announced very soon.
Thank you, Mr. Moki. I am Gida Lawrence Chair, the division officer from Nkambe Central Subdivision. A subdivision which counts 17 villages and 7 adorates. Before the onset of the crisis, all these villages had schools which functioned normally. But unfortunately, the onset of the crisis saw a closure of schools in some of the zones of the subdivision, notably the Wat zone, the Loambot area, the Kungi zone, and the Mayobinka zone. Reason why the divisional officer, in consultation with all other stakeholders of education, the traditional authorities, and the forces of law and order, decided to hold a broad-based meeting on the 29th of August, whereby we launched campaigns for Back to School 2020-2021. And following that campaign, the divisional officer has been on the field to sensitize the population of especially these zones which have not had school for years. And I will tell you that this campaign is yielding fruits as the population of these areas have taken the relay to prepare their schools, to prepare the minds of their children, and so far everything is going on smoothly, and I'm certain that academic year 2020-2021 will be a huge success in the subdivision.
Thanks for that assurance. And as you just told us there, Mr. Division Officer, you have been leading this campaign for all children to go to school. How safe are they with the threats from separatists?
That Nkambe subdivision does not only face threats from separatists, the population of Nkambe subdivision is being terrorized. But this is something which is not new to the people, because amidst all these threats, amidst all this terror, we have managed to function most of our schools successfully for the past academic years since the onset of this crisis. So, academic year 2020-2021 will be a very successful one. There is no doubt, because the population is fully involved in everything the administration does. The traditional authorities, the religious authorities, the defense and security forces, the vigilant groups, the external and internal elites, we are all working as a team. So, they say unity is strength. United we stand, divided we fall. So the population of Nkambe, we have taken a unanimous decision that our children must go back to school, especially in those zones which have not known school. So I'll tell you that there is no need for worries. There is no need for fears. These children will go to school on top for this coming academic year and the academic years to come. Thank you.
Very assuring there, Mr. Gida Lawrence Chair. But apparently, Nkambe subdivision seems to be the only area in the northwest region, apart from Bamenda, where schools were actually opened throughout the year. What has been the secret of the SDOUR and the people of Nkambe subdivision that may have been assisting you?
It's collective action. In Nkambe subdivision, the crisis and the threats we are facing, mostly from external actors, have made us to learn or to understand that we must work as a team. And we are all each other's keeper. The reality here is that when you touch one person, you touched the entire population. When you touch a single child, you've touched every other child in the subdivision. That is a secret. And another thing the divisional officer does is that I associate every sector of the subdivision in every action that I'm about to do or every action I intend carrying out. They are Chaba boys, I associate them. The taxi drivers, they are associated. Religious authorities, traditional authorities, municipal authorities, every sector of the subdivision is part and parcel of every action we take for the interests of the subdivision. So I'll tell you, this is our secret. We work as a team, we collaborate, and when I say working as one man, it doesn't mean we don't have differences. We have differences, we fall apart with one another, but for the interests of the subdivision, we learn to put aside these differences, to defend the subdivision, to protect one another, to protect our children, to protect the establishments of the subdivision. So this is our secret.
Well, now I know before you succeed, you need some support from the elite, from traditional authorities. Let's start with the elite. What inputs do you have from them, Mr. Dio?
If peace we enjoy in Kambe subdivision is thanks partly to the efforts of the elites, external as well as internal. It is true that we have a good number of elites that originate from the subdivision, but not all of them are very active insofar as the peace process
in the afternoon, then
and insofar as supporting the back to school.
That's why when you go now there, when you have work, you tell me call you.
But nevertheless, we have a good number of them too that have been very instrumental. And if I may express my gratitude, I will mention very instrumental elites. His Excellency Dr. Fu Callistus Gentry, His Excellency Shea Jones, Honorable Ngala Gerard, Mr. Fogwe Rogers, Mr. Godlove Talanji, Captain Chuyem Bunko, Honorable Awudumbaya. These elites have been very instrumental, like I said, in the peace process of the subdivision, as well as supporting the divisional officer so that schools go unhitch-free by providing educational materials to the schools, to pupils, to students, paying school fees for most of them. I think all these have boosted the successes we recorded in the past, and at the same time are boasting a motivational factor to the campaign for an effective back to school in the subdivision. It is not only external elites, we equally have internal elites in the likes of Musa Shienfo, who is the present mayor from Kambe Council, Mr. Ndi Richard Tamjong and his entire team of the Donga Manton Community Radio, and so many others which we cannot mention all here. So these elites are playing a great role, and at the same time I would like to call on those that have been very whimsical or those that have been very lukewarm to get up from slumber and support their subdivision and support the efforts of the divisional officer so that life goes back to the way it used to be in the past.
Wow. And then before you succeed to Mr. Dio, you need the assistance of parents, of teachers. Are they supporting your efforts by maybe collaborating with the military and maybe reporting those suspected separatist fighters to the military and to the authorities?
The parents have more than supported the efforts of the divisional officer in campaigning for an effective school resumption in the subdivision. You see, they say actions speak louder than words. Parents on their parts, following the launch of the back to school campaigns, especially in the zones that have not had schools, they took upon themselves to clean the school milieu, the internal and the external space. The teachers, who most of them have braved the odds to teach, even at the peak of the crisis, I think that is more than enough proof that they are with their divisional officer. Nevertheless, there are still some that are lagging behind, which we still encourage to join the moving train, to join the winning team. So the parents, again, they collaborate with their divisional officer, they collaborate fully with the forces of law and order, they collaborate with the vigilante groups, and I will only say I encourage these efforts, and at the same time, like Oliver Twist, I will ask them to continue in this light so that things in the subdivision will get back to the best way it used to be as in the...
Well, the last question I have for you, and briefly to Mr. Divisional Officer Gida Lawrence Chair. Are you working with traditional authorities? I know they are very influential too in Donga Mantum Division in general and Kambe Central in particular.
The subdivision, who are 17 funds in number and 7 adorates, have been playing a very vital role for peace to return in all areas within the subdivision and for schools to go on hitch-free. I will equally salute particularly the efforts of the fund of Nkambe, as well as the fund of Mba and all the other funds. Why these two funds? These are funds who stood their grounds amidst amidst all the challenges that confronted them. You know, some traditional authorities were forced to displace, or they were displaced from their palaces as a result of this crisis. But thank God they are all on seat and we are working together, and each fund has taken upon himself to perform a traditional ritual aimed at curbing the perpetration of evil within their villages and equally preparing the ground for an effective back to school 2020-2021. So I will say that the traditional authorities are doing their best. They are working with me in very close collaboration, and I will only keep on counting on them. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, the Senior Divisional Officer for the Nkambe Central Subdivision, for being with us on the program today and talking to us about the efforts for schools to open. Mr. Ngida Lawrence, thanks very much for being there. But we're leaving you and moving now to the Southwest region, where another campaigner for schools to open is Taj Jarvis. He's a journalist and he is campaigning that schools must be opened this year after 4 wasted years. Now, Jarvis, you are also with us on the line to Boya. Why this spirited campaign for schools to open?
It is unnecessary after 4 years for us to re-examine the status quo as far as back to school is concerned. This is the 4th year highly involved in effective school resumption within the North and Southwest region. The children who have not been able to go to school in the hardest hit areas of the North and Southwest region, I think they are losing a lot, and in terms of infrastructure, in terms of their mentality, in terms of their cultural nature, in terms of their personal development, and equally the development of the community. We've had increase in crime rate, we've had increase in a lot of unwanted pregnancies. So it is normal for us to campaign for effective resumption. If we want a better nation, if we want a better Cameroon, irrespective of the Cameroon that you stand for, I think it is normal that education should not be mortgaged. So the children should be allowed to go to school, and while the other parties play their politics, irrespective of the situation as far as the ongoing armed conflict is concerned.
Yes, Jarvis, are parents, teachers, and in fact the education community in general interested? Do they listen to you?
I think parents and teachers are listening to me, and of course they understand the need for effective resumption. Parents understand the need for children to go to school. Teachers understand the need to teach, and the children understand the need for resumption. My only plea is that the government, alongside known state-armed groups and some civil society organizations, should take politics away from institutions and to stop politicizing the schools. Stop making like when school resume, that's all about the crisis. When school resume, it means everything is fine when school resume. But when you give a kind of education to these people, when you ensure that when you make sure they understand the need, they understand that, okay, we are in a crisis, there is need for this arm to continue while we focus now on resolving the crisis. I think it will give a leeway. And secondly, the children should be educated in terms of gunshot, in terms of gun battle, what happened when you're in class. Teachers should be educated when you are teaching, when you hear gun battle, what happened? How do you take care of the children during gun battle? How do you take care of the children when you are coming out, the environment is tense? How do you take care of yourself? So this education needs to be done at the basis, as of those who are of school-going age, as of those who are actors of schools, as of those who are parents who go and take their children back to school, and as of the military as well. They need to be educated as of when you are in an environment, an educational environment, there is hostility. How do you go about carrying out your services? How do you go about ensuring?
Apparently, a little hitch there with Jarvis in Boya, but you're not going yet. Most schools have been destroyed, students have fled, teachers have fled, and you're asking them to go back. It looks as if the task will be a very challenging one.
I was in Kwakwa, I was in GS Ikumbi, the whole structure abandoned. I was in Bombay Bakundu too. When I look at the structure of the schools abandoned, I think that is a concern as far as effective resumption is concerned. It's a major preoccupation where we have to see that some of these structures are rehabilitated. It's difficult to rehabilitate these structures, especially with the fact that some of these areas still have some ongoing gun battle. But I think it all begins with education of the masses, the non-state armed groups, education of the state armed groups as well. Because let's not play politics here. Both parties are frightening the children from going back to school. So if we educate both parties as of the necessity, I think they will give a leeway for parents to go and arrange the school buildings. They will give a leeway for reconstruction of the buildings, the school building, which they will give a leeway for the children to come back to school. But as far as this education is not there, it's difficult. It will be difficult for effective resumption. For effective resumption to take place, I think that is all about educating both agitators as of the need to allow the children to go to school and to play their politics from a political perspective, while ensuring that those whom they are fighting for, regardless of their Cameroon, they should ensure that they are educated to take over services when the war comes to an end.
And what are the likely consequences should they continue to remain at home? Should the students continue staying at home?
If children are to stay out of school, first of all, we must understand that there will be a generational gap. Secondly, there will be high level of illiteracy in that environment, and not just that environment, the nation is going to suffer, because maybe the next president of this country would have come from those areas. Maybe the next Speaker of the House of Assembly would have come from those areas. Maybe the next Secretary General at the United Nations would have come from those areas. Kofi Annan came from a village. Antonio Guterres came from a village. And we've had stakeholders or top leaders around the world who are from villages. So when these schools are shut down, these children are out of school, I think it's a ripple effect. The economy is down. When we are talking about Bill Gates today, it's because Bill Gates had the opportunity to live, he had the opportunity to study, he had the opportunity to do other things. Education mustn't necessarily mean that the student should just go to school and learn. When his children associate with others in school, they build a network. There are some advantages we've enjoyed based on the fact that we went to school, we met friends, and these friends connected us somewhere and somehow. So when these schools are shut down, there is a big problem, and we will face what we call a cultural entropy, where we will be doing one thing over and over again and expect different results. high crime rate, of course, is normal. It's normal to have high crime rate. It's normal for us to have increase in unwanted pregnancy diseases because these children are out there. They're in the villages. They are intermixing with each other.
Tajavis, thank you very much for answering a call from the southwest region, precisely in Buea. We shall come back to the studio and end our discussion on schools that are going to be reopening. We shall have some ambassadors, Feka Pashibel and Akwese Mendang Milen, who have been canvassing for schools to reopening. Let's have a break. We shall be back.
Merci de nous retrouver pour cette édition de ressources.
Nous avons fait des formations sur les thèmes.
L'ambition du ministère de l'Habitat est de démarrer. C'est le moment de prendre le round-up économique de la semaine. Alors vous venez avec les dernières informations sur l'économie au Cameroun et un peu au-delà.
Toutes les régions ont abrité des comices agro-pastoraux.
Il y aura une voie d'emprise de 29 mètres et des équipements connexes.
Le ministre de l'Eau et de l'Énergie, Gaston Elundu Essumba, a lancé le 25 novembre dernier un programme de suivi, de contrôle.
Tous les spécimens partis dans le monde et on cherche à faire des cross-breeds.
Le monde agro-pastoral se déploie ainsi dans un contexte de crise sociopolitique avec un risque d'insécurité alimentaire.
Et pour sortir, on va prendre la direction du Kenya pour parler de ce petit détour.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.
Thanks for watching Twilight on CRTV News. We are now here with Feka Pashibel, who is manager of an NGO Hope for Vulnerable Children and Orphans, and Akwese Mendang Milen, who is a student from the Northwest region. Welcome, Pashibel.
Thank you, Adrian.
And welcome, Akwese.
Thank you very much, sir.
I understand you have been fighting, canvassing for schools to reopen, but I want us to listen first of all to Akwese Mendang, who was a victim of these upheavals in the Northwest and Southwest region. What really happened to you?
Okay, sir. So, well, it happened when I was in Form 5, during the first year of the crisis, when the crisis broke out. On this fateful morning, I was on my way to school, and I was attacked by these two guys who were disguised and were on a motorbike, and they just took me unaware and started beating me, and I just had to run. I didn't really realize what was happening. In fact, my body had a mind of its own, and so I just ran for my life because I was really, really scared, and I was traumatized too because I did not realize that the situation was this grave, and so I was really, really traumatized. I went back home and I was crying, and yeah, that's it.
What did they say was your crime?
Well, we all know that these guys, they do not want students to return to school, so I guess that was my crime for wanting to go to school. I was tortured, I was beaten.
Your peers, your other schoolmates were also victims of similar assault.
Yeah, I had a classmate who was, she was actually stabbed on her wrist, and others were beaten as well. Others were seriously beaten, and others also had similar incidents, bloody incidents where they were molested or they were stabbed as well using a knife. Yeah.
Your interesting story may be that in spite of the difficult environment, you told yourself, I must have education.
Yeah, I did. I guess I just wanted to pursue my education. I saw the importance and I just went on. I just continued with my studies. Nothing stopped me. I just developed that courage and I went on with my education despite the tense environment. I told myself that I could not back down. I just went for it.
Courage. When you see your other mates who dropped, who could not continue, who were wounded and killed, kidnapped, abducted from schools, what do you tell them?
Well, for those who are like myself and can develop that same courage, I just tell them that let's go along, let's do this together. And for those who cannot really do this because they're in deplorable situations that where they're not permitted to do anything, I tell them to not give up on their dreams. They should still keep hoping. But for those who are able, those who are fortunate enough to be in areas where they can continue their studies and still try to meander and go to school, then I tell them to go and not stay back at home, because they have heard rumors and they have heard things, not actually rumors, things that have been happening, and they are scared. I tell them to forge on.
Pathetic. Well, these are the people you've been working with. And before we get to why you're campaigning, you also have some experiences just for the fact that you wanted children to go to school.
Yeah, sometime last year, precisely on the 15th of June, last year in the Southwest region, precisely in Moko village, we organized what we call the homeschooling program, where we went to this small community and got children, young children from 5 years to about 15, and brought them together to teach them. So on the 15th of June, 4 a.m., the coordinator, the young lady was acting as a volunteer in that village, was attacked by the non-state armed group boys, and her right leg was cut off. It was butchered. So today she has just one leg, and she lost her right leg because she wanted to see that children could have an education.
Pathetic indeed, too. Now, despite what is happening, you've stood there, you've said you want these children to go to school. You should have had so many challenges also as an individual.
Of course, as an individual, anybody who wants anything that does not go in line with what the separatists want, you become a target, you become a problem, a sellout, to, as you're called, a black leg. But again, how long are we going to keep our children at home? They gave examples of Ghana, examples of other countries and all of that. If this really happened in these countries and children were completely taken out of school, what would have happened to the economy of the country? What would have happened to the politics of the country? I mean, so to me, it's really unreasonable to hold these children and their education as bait to get what they want. They should understand that just like they have dreams, these children also have dreams, and they should let the children pursue their dreams. They should be the ones to decide what they want. Stopping them from going to school is gross violation of their basic human rights. So every child has the right at least to an education. 4 years is very long.
When you've been going, how do you go out? I mean, with a hostile environment, I mean, it's not easy going to convince parents and those separatists too.
Yeah, it's not easy convincing the parents, but that's why we call it a homeschooling thing, because we cannot go and have a campus on our own. So we actually go into the communities. We talk with the members of the communities, we talk with the traditional leaders, we talk with the parents, and then we all agree and look at how we can conveniently teach these children from. We do not care if you look at some of the pictures. We teach under trees, we teach under shades, because it is, you know, it's not something like the conventional school. It's an emergency thing. And so we do not really care. Our aim is to let these children have the education that they want. So we go to the communities. We do not we do not want to get the authorities involved, all of that, because they may also have their own conditions they will want to give you. You want to go to these boys, they would also have their own conditions that they want to give you. But because I believe that the power is in the people, that is why we work closely with the community members.
What language do you use when you come face to face with these separatists or these hardliners who say schools will not open? What language do you use to convince them?
Some of them are very educated.
And they got the education here in Cameroon.
Yes.
The very education they're trying to deprive the young ones of.
Yes, but the truth is there are lapses in the English subsystem of education, which is okay. But stopping the children completely from getting this same education, which we all benefited from, it's appalling. So some of them are really, really educated, like they've gone to university, they are graduates. And so communicating with them is not a problem. So they understand, they know fully well what they are doing, they know what they want. But again, they shouldn't impose their will on people. They shouldn't violate people to that extent.
I was asking about the language you use when you get to these people down there, those who are uneducated parents who keep their children at home. You need to be strong and have good language.
When I meet the parents first, I wear their shoe. I am one of them. And I don't talk the native language, but we use our pidgin English, and we try to I try to find out from them how they feel about having the children at home, looking at them and all of that. And we talk it out, and together, at the end of the day, we just discover that these parents really want their children to go to school. They are tired of having them at home, especially the adolescent children, because some of them have gone astray. They are wayward. The girls have become promiscuous. The boys have been forced into theft and all of that. So it's really a burden for them as parents to keep their children. So when schools were going on, they sort of had some relief, because they spent a good part of their time in school, and that kept them busy.
Then you, Akwese, you have joined this trend of asking your peers, your friends, your mates to go back to school, asking the teachers to go back to school. What language are you using? If you had them in front of you now, as you and I sit here, what would you be telling them?
Well, for the students, I'm going to...
Just tell them, go ahead and talk to me.
All right. So I just want to encourage the students out there who are scared of going back to school. I just want to tell them that they should brave it like I did, especially those who are in the town where they can actually go to school. And so they should brave it and go to school. For the teachers, I just want to encourage them to keep up, because we have had teachers who still continue to teach the students, even when they are being threatened and even being kidnapped, they still go on. So I just encourage them to keep up and not give up on the students. It's a discouraging kind of situation, but I just encourage them to continue. And for the students who, like I said before, for the students that are in areas where they can't afford it, they can't do anything about their situation, they should not give up on their dreams still. They should just keep on hoping that one day they are going to finally get to school. And if there's a means, I don't know, I should say this to the parents, if there's a means for the parents to bring their children to the town where the
safer localities.
Yes, where they can go to school, then the parents should do that. If they can afford it, then they should do that, because it's becoming worse every single day. Things are going down, and we can't afford to see the education just dying away. Children losing that love for education every single day.
What are your dreams? It's
well,
nice to hear you speak and encourage those who want to see you braving the whole.
All right. So aspire to study business, aspire to become a female entrepreneur, a very powerful one in Africa. So there was no way I was going to stop, or I was going to give it up for anything.
Okay, and you belong to one group called Open Dreams?
Yes, I'm an Open Dreams scholar.
I remember one of your officials, Mr. Akaba James.
Yeah.
What is Open Dreams? What is it about?
All right, so Open Dreams is a non-profit making organization, international organization that helps students coming from a low-income earning background to
have education.
Yeah, to acquire the education they want, like the quality education they want.
Pashibel, yes. Now the message now is go to school, but I'm sure that the parents you've been discussing with have some particular requests they want to make. They're now poorer. They don't have the money to send their children to school. Are they asking the government to see into it that school fees are maybe not paid this time around? What are the requests they're making?
Of course, with the hardship and the challenges, businesses have been dwindling. Some have lost everything. It's very difficult financially for them to take care of their children. So if the government could assist, then they would be very happy to have their children go back to school. And again, their dire wish is for peace to return. So they are appealing on the non-state armed group and the state armed groups to be moderate. They're not saying what they're doing is wrong, but at least they should let these children have an education. They should let these children have the future they're supposed to have. Because when they keep on attacking them, destroying their property and all of that, they're not helping in any way. But they are really, really desperate to have their children go back to school. And if there is any subvention, they'll be very happy to welcome that.
When you visit these children, I see you handing out some gifts. Where are the gifts from?
We have partners and friends who, like a period like now, we reach out to them that, okay, we have this number of children who want to go to school, and these are their needs. So most of the needs we give to these children are just basic didactic materials. So they gather them and send, and then we go to the donations to the children.
I've seen you also handing out sanitary needs to the girls out there.
Yes, because I discovered that girls sometimes kept away from classes during their periods, and because they could not afford to get the disposable sanitary pads. So we went into the production of the reusable sanitary pads, which we give to them so that it cannot let the monthly flow, something that is natural, not become a hindrance to their education.
You call it reusable sanitary pads?
Yes.
How does it look like?
It's sewn with fabric that's skin friendly, and then they use, wash, dry, save it very well, and use again.
We have 3 minutes to be together before we move to the newsroom. I would like you to take this moment and pass the message that of the fundamental rights of children being abused, the right to education, to speak to the consciences of those people out there. Before I come to Pashibel, I would like to start with Akwese, to speak to the conscience of those people out there who are blocking children from going to school, no matter what the needs are, what the requests are. They think school should be free.
All right. It's undeniably true that in order for any country to advance or attain a certain level of development, education is supposed to be considered very, very important. Like, education is supposed to be upheld really high. And so I just want these people to look past their desires, or whatever they want. They should look past it and see the need for education to go on. I don't think stopping education is going to do anything. I don't think it's going to help with whatsoever they want. And so rather, this stopping education is it's everything, like, it's making everything crumble. And so I just want to plead that they should look past what they want and encourage people to start going to school. In fact, they should stop hurting students who are going to school. It's discouraging. When I think about it, I really, really feel sorry, because we went through a lot trying to go to school under those during the crisis, and so I'm just pleading that they should stop.
Pashibel?
I want to tell my brothers and sisters, we are family, and we all know the And while we're fighting, we should come up with solutions, proposals that shall benefit our children and ourselves. Stopping them from going to school is stopping the growth of the nation. It is said the youths are the future of a country. What kind of country do we want to have? Do we want to have a country made up of illiterate youths? The same thing we are condemning cannot be the same thing we are condoning with. So if we can have another strategy, we should give these children the opportunity to go to school. I don't think if schools resume, it's going to be an end to whatever we are looking for. Let's give these children this chance that they so badly need to get the education they want. A good number of them have gone astray. Families are suffering. And I'm sure we have our own family members, our own children, who are suffering as well. We are all touched by this crisis. So it's our responsibility not to abuse and violate these children and deprive them of their basic rights to education. Thank you.
No comments, nothing to say. Allow the children, let the children go to school. Okay, good evening. You also had your own education, and I'm sure you're also asking that children to go to school.
Of course, that's all Cameroonians want actually.
Thank you very much. It's news time in Yaoundé, and you have the news.
Effectivement, le journal. Commençons dans le littoral. L'ONG Value Health et les assureurs internationaux s'unissent pour barrer la voie au Covid-19 au Cameroun. Ensemble, ils ont décidé d'offrir du matériel de lutte contre la pandémie à des personnes vivant dans les lieux reculés du pays. Marie-Gabrielle Mfeugue, CRTV Littoral.
C'est sans doute une preuve que le respect des mesures barrières contre le virus corona a été négligé par la population à un moment où le monde peine encore à se débarrasser de la pandémie. Consciente de cette situation, l'une des compagnies d'assurance internationale au Cameroun a décidé de contribuer à enrayer la pandémie en protégeant la population locale. L'assureur s'attache à sensibiliser les moins privilégiés aux bonnes pratiques.
Nous sommes très sensibles à ce qui peut arriver à notre environnement, à notre population. C'est pour cela que nous avons essayé d'atteindre le maximum de personnes et combattre ces flux qui, comme nous savons, est très mortel.
Dans le cadre de cette initiative, 35 stations de lavage de mains devraient être créées à des postes stratégiques et une éducation sanitaire dispensée dans les centres de santé communautaires à travers le pays. Pour une campagne plus efficace, 2 communautés ont été choisies pour héberger des sites de production locaux de désinfectants pour les mains et des masques faciaux. Le projet, qui va durer 4 mois, a été évalué à 41 700 000 francs CFA. La compagnie d'assurance internationale estime que si la population locale maîtrise toutes les bonnes pratiques en matière de protection contre le Covid-19, le nombre de contaminations au Cameroun devrait être considérablement réduit.
La 18e édition de Vacances sans sida a été lancée cette semaine. Les responsables ont profité de cette occasion pour sensibiliser les jeunes filles sur les conséquences des grossesses précoces et l'utilisation des méthodes contraceptives. Ces méthodes contraceptives sont donc énumérées dans ce reportage de Clara de Maraps.
La plateforme Facebook est devenue la nouvelle boutique virtuelle de nombreux Camerounais. Ici, pas besoin de local ou de comptoir pour vendre divers articles. Qu'ils soient friperies ou articles neufs, chinois, Turquie ou Dubaï, à chaque client ses préférences. Pour se créer une page commerciale, il suffit juste de prendre une photo de l'objet à vendre, indiquer son nom, une description, un prix, confirmer la localisation et sélectionner une catégorie. Une nouvelle tendance qui marche plutôt bien et qui fait naître plusieurs groupes de vente en ligne. Pour attirer le plus de clients, les vendeurs optent pour les livraisons, peu importe la ville, le pays ou encore le quartier. Les paiements se font le plus souvent par voie électronique ou en main propre à la livraison. Malgré le fait que les clients ne soient pas toujours satisfaits, des alternatives sont prévues par les commerçants pour satisfaire la clientèle.
Donc, plutôt un reportage de Clara de Marab sur le commerce en ligne. Poursuivons ce journal toujours en santé de la jeune fille. Le phénomène de grossesse précoce devient de plus en plus récurrent dans notre société. Les jeunes filles sont âgées entre 11 et 18 ans seulement. La suspension des activités scolaires et académiques due au Covid-19 a participé à de nouvelles reproductions. La question est donc de savoir, est-ce que la responsabilité incombe aux parents? C'est la question que De Tout Claude a posée au sociologue Claude Abbé. Voici son extrait.
La première clé, c'est quand des gens ont du temps à profusion et que ce temps-là, il n'y a pas une réorganisation de leurs emplois de temps, de manière à se trouver une occupation. Il y a de nombreuses tentations en face desquelles on se retrouve, parmi lesquelles les activités sexuelles qui deviennent beaucoup plus intenses. L'autre chose, c'est qu'on peut aussi convoquer la responsabilité parentale dans certaines situations. Vous ne pouvez pas continuer à prendre en charge vos enfants ou l'éducation de vos enfants comme en situation normale. Il faut tout de même reconnaître, et c'est la troisième clé, que dans notre société, les jeunes filles aujourd'hui sont beaucoup plus précocement sexuellement active. Et qu'à ce titre-là, parfois, il y a un problème d'éducation sexuelle.
La colonie de vacances Berthois 2020, organisée par le ministère du Tourisme et des Loisirs, a permis à 58 vacanciers sélectionnés de visiter le Fortune de Doumé, le campement Baka de Mayos dans le Oignon. Notre guide parmi les vacanciers, Georges Alain Eyango, CRTV Est.
Sur la base de leurs résultats scolaires par le ministère du Tourisme et des Loisirs, ces 58 vacanciers issus de toutes les aires socioculturelles du pays viennent à la découverte de la région de l'Est. Le maire Jean-Marie Dimbélé Sodéa de la ville de Berthois est le premier à recevoir les jeunes colons, qui l'invitent à revenir avec les leurs dans la capitale de l'Est en pleine transformation. Le gouverneur Grégoire Vangor les accueille par la suite avec allégresse dans ses services, sans manquer de leur faire une brève présentation de la carte postale du soleil levant. L'excursion se poursuit au Fortin de Doumé, base allemande à l'époque coloniale, avec comme guide le sous-préfet Jean-Patrick Abena. Les 58 vacanciers sont tout heureux de faire dans la foulée la découverte du campement Baka de Mayos.
Nous avons découvert les sites touristiques et quelques vestiges. Après, nous avons continué ici pour voir les pygmées. Ils nous ont accueillis avec une danse en chantant. Nous étions très contents.
En joignant ainsi l'utile à l'agréable à travers cette excursion, le ministère du Tourisme et des Loisirs atteint son objectif.
Le ministère du Tourisme et des Loisirs prend le soin de rassembler dans les 10 régions du Cameroun tous les enfants pour leur apprendre à connaître les sites touristiques.
Au cours de cette colonie de vacances de 10 jours, les jeunes colons apprennent également à vivre ensemble et à s'accepter mutuellement sans barrière interculturelle ou religieuse.
Après les vacances, c'est la rentrée. Et la rentrée, c'est dans moins d'un mois au Cameroun. Et les établissements scolaires travaillent d'arrache-pied depuis plusieurs jours pour assurer le retour en toute sécurité des élèves dans les salles de classe. Sadou Mamoudou a fait l'enquête dans quelques établissements scolaires. Son reportage.
Un calme trompeur au-dessus d'un établissement scolaire, un creuset du savoir. Quelques pâtés plus bas, réfectoire, dortoir, salle de classe sont passés au pain fin. Sous l'impulsion du chef de l'institution, les auxiliaires sont sur le qui-vive.
Côté nettoyage, nous avons commencé notre préparation depuis le 26 août. L'établissement est déjà prêt à recevoir des élèves. Toutes les salles de classe sont déjà nettoyées et concernant la désinfection de l'établissement, nous avons fait une demande auprès de la mairie, qui a promis venir aussi tôt que possible.
Dépasser la crainte, faire face à la terreur de la pandémie de Covid-19, un état d'esprit développé et revendiqué par la communauté en cette veille de rentrée. Dernière halte avant le retour en sécurité dans les salles, les inscriptions, la liste des manuels et fournitures scolaires.
Je suis venue au lycée pour regarder les manuels scolaires et constater qu'il y a les coins un peu de partout. Le lycée est aussi propre.
Je suis venu pour les inscriptions d'abord. Après les inscriptions, on m'a dit qu'il y a la liste des fournitures scolaires ici. J'étais en train de relever.
Retrouver la normalité, donner la possibilité aux enfants d'apprendre à lire et à écrire, aux enseignants de le faire dans les meilleures conditions sanitaires possibles, passe par une réelle implication des collectivités territoriales décentralisées.
En sport, le week-end s'annonce plutôt chargé en événements. Le championnat anglais, le meilleur du monde d'ailleurs, débute ce samedi sur les antennes de CRTV Sport and Entertainment. En tennis, l'US Open reprend également ses droits dès demain samedi chez les dames et dimanche chez les messieurs. L'affiche du week-end déroulée par Robert Collins, Biama.
Haletant, palpitant, captivant. La Première Ligue, considérée comme le meilleur championnat du monde, débute ce week-end. Un derby de Londres pour donner le coup d'envoi de la saison anglaise. Le Fulham d'André Zambo-Anguissa face à Arsenal. C'est un match à suivre dès 12h30 sur CRTV Sport and Entertainment. Le champion en titre Liverpool joue contre Leeds un peu plus tard dans la soirée. Dimanche, 2 affiches sont au menu avec notamment le duel entre Tottenham et Everton. Le football reprend aussi en Espagne samedi et dimanche avec entre autres en Liga le duel samedi entre Grenade de Ryan Eteki et l'Athletic Bilbao. Défiera Naomi Osaka en finale ce samedi. En Formule 1, après la victoire surprise de Pierre Gasly la semaine dernière, place à la 9e manche du championnat et au Grand Prix d'Italie sur le circuit de Mugello. Pour la première fois de la saison, ce sera sous le regard de spectateurs. Un petit nombre, pour la plupart invités par Ferrari, qui fête au Mugello son 1000e Grand Prix.
Voilà donc qui met un terme à ce journal. Moki, merci de nous avoir tous suivis.
Laurence Okada, thank you very much for the news.
C'est moi.
And an appointment for some other time. Now, we shall get into the last segment of Twilight. That's going to be the Society Supplement. It will be after this break.
Business trends impacting the country. Here, sometimes we give you a drift away from timber and also from mining, and we bring you agriculture and the service sector. Whatever puts food on your table, trust me, we make it stable. In this new season, expect the country's supplements, global financial intelligence. On the show, Good Deal, your business directory. So join me every other Wednesday on CRTV News.
CRTV News, nothing but the news.
Now, Cameroon singer and 2016 Best Male Hip-Hop Artist for Central Africa, Stanley Eno, has added another title to his name. The singer joins a host of other Cameroonian goodwill ambassadors for UNICEF, adding his voice to the fight against polio on the continent of Africa. On a culture supplement, Larry Efande had a chat with the award-winning artist and UNICEF goodwill ambassador, Stanley Eno. Over to you, Larry Efande.
Hello there and welcome. If you're watching us online or on air, you are just on time for the guest. On today's edition, we are sitting down with the National Ambassador for UNICEF, who happens to be Cameroonian rapper and philanthropist Stanley Eno. He walks us through his commenced humanitarian work and his role as the UNICEF Ambassador. Hello, Stanley. Good having you.
How you doing, sir? Good.
Now, tell me, what does this mean to you, being a UNICEF Ambassador since the month of August?
I mean, it means a lot. I mean, we're very thankful, but I mean it comes with a very heavy weight as well, because I mean it's a huge task and mission, you know. But I mean it's really super beautiful, because heavy is not in the terms of the weight, but is in terms of the beauty and the magnitude, you know what I mean, to be able to work for kids. And you know, if you're working for kids, then you're building a nation.
You are celebrated in most parts of the world basically for your music style, and other people too have come to laud sometimes your passion and your concern for humanity. What will you be doing as a UNICEF ambassador? Let's peep into this new facet of Stanley Eno.
I'll be sleeping in my house all day. But yeah, I mean, as a UNICEF ambassador, it's you know, it's a lot of advocacy, you know, building and creating projects to make sure that the Cameroonian and the African youth in general has a proper access to health and education, because that's my prior concern. It's a very big concern for me, even without being even out of UNICEF, as I've been doing a lot of philanthropy, and you know, we just have to make sure that we come with an organization that has leverage and has more cases, or has a platform where we can also come in and chip in and help, and you know, it's beautiful.
Just the other day, Cameroon was declared free from the white polio, and part of your crusade will be to have people trust clinical procedures despite the pandemic which we are going on now. And you mentioned earlier that we still have some strains of this polio 1, 2, 3 in an earlier press conference. Can you walk us through this trust you're about to bring out in the women and children out there?
C'est vrai qu'il y a des souches. like you said, there's some strains, and poliovirus is a deadly disease, because for me, not only can it kill, but it can paralyze kids and make them not to speak and talk properly. So killing their dreams even from from a very young age, killing their mama's dreams as well, because if a mom doesn't really sleep, if your mom doesn't sleep because the child can't sleep, then herself, she can't even be effective, in the society. Then, we make sure that, with UNICEF, we have to, we are sensitizing all the mothers out there so that they may take their kids, from 0 to 59 months to go and have them immunized so that they can be poliovirus free. Is a disease that is quite deadly, like I just said. And yeah, man, there's still a couple of strains, but I think that together, if you tell a mother to tell a mother to tell another mother, I believe that by the end of the year, or maybe a couple of years or a couple of months ahead, it's going to be over.
Well, we understand that this is a phobia, which the phobia for hospital will not just die out within a sudden flight or quickly. What strategies have you earmarked to ensure that people trust health facilities, knowing that should they go there, they won't contract the pandemic?
With UNICEF, we're trying as much as possible to create safe ground for families and moms. We want to go and support their kids in this whole vaccination campaign. The UNICEF team is going to be going from home to home in 6 regions of the country, I believe. And, it's really going to be easy. It's just, it's from the 18th to the 20th. Yeah, and you want to be able to spread the message in the world and the word to the moms out there, to the families and the dads, to open the doors so that the kids can easily come, into the homes and families and to get the vaccines done. So you might not necessarily go to the hospital, but the hospital is not dangerous. And one thing I want to tell everybody watching right now is that with the coming of coronavirus hasn't kicked out other diseases. There is still malaria, there is still typhoid, there's still diarrhea, so people have to be aware of the fact that, the polio vaccine is not here to kill kids. It's here to make them have an immune system so that they can grow in a better shape. And what is a nation if they want to kill the kids? So, but, we can't, I think it's super stupid. People, vaccines are, especially against polio, is to exterminate the new generation. We can't, we owe it a duty. I myself, as a positive and a reasoning human being, I can't join causes that is going to eradicate my people. Instead, I want to see my people grow strong and strong every day. So I think that all the moms watching, all the families watching should be aware that these vaccines, the vaccine, they're not for killing our picking, and for make sure, say, when I begin and grow fine, because if we can grow, we get polio, then I die. Food not the worker, hand not the worker, if you talk. You understand what I mean? Say, So, me mommy them, me papa them join UNICEF via my voice for make sure say me that picking and be okay. Because if picking and not be okay, then we'll not get country. Yeah.
And just before you go, Stanley, it's difficult to separate Stanley, the artist, Stanley, the goodwill ambassador. But what's up with you? What's the latest in terms of your musical career?
What's up? The sky. Yeah, the sky is blue, and we're dropping an EP very soon. We're dropping a couple of wild singles, and we're trying to make sure that we sleep a lot in the forest, to make sure that we have all the right djembes, the right tam-tams, and the right drums, so that when we drop, it goes viral. It's beautiful music, and it's more, as usual, friendly content, so that people may be super happy and super inspired. I think the African youth right now needs positive messages more than ever, because we are at the level or at a kind of a moment where it's either we're taking a turn. It's either we fail or either we go on the right track, you know what I mean? So I think right now, as an artist, as a leader, I have to try as much as possible to keep feeding my people with cute content. And I just want to use this opportunity to give a big shout out to my team. I think it's the best that Cameroon has ever seen so far with an artist. And, you know, it's, we just have to keep going and, you know, ready your ears, man. If your ears are not ready, man, go and buy Coton Tige, go and buy, you know, because, you know, we're giving you some mad-ass music soon, boy.
Stanley Eno, the National Ambassador for the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, thanks for being our guest.
Oh, man, I thank you so much for inviting me. And God bless CRTV News and everybody behind the cameras. I see them behind the machines and everything, the beautiful new generation of all journalists that I see them, they're so beautiful, and I can't wait for a beautiful and better Cameroon.
Thank you, and let's sit down again another time. Our programs continue.
Quite delighted and elated there seeing our own Stanley Eno. And Larry Fande, please, next time you meet him, ask him to sing. We would have loved to get an a cappella from him, especially now that he's announcing a tour of regions to educate parents to have their children vaccinated against poliomyelitis. He will be touring as an ambassador, UNICEF ambassador. Thanks for watching Twilight on CRTV News. I am Moki Edwin Kinzaka in Yaoundé. Bye now and nice weekend.